What's up, guys? Mullet River here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we are back on the free-to-play. We are 63 days in, day login 63, and it's a big day hopefully today, because we are about to go full-fledged Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss. 2 months in, I think is pretty darn good. So we're going to test it out here. I've done it a couple of times or tried it a little bit, but we've done a lot of tweaking, especially with the fact that we have the regen event going on with Fire Knight. So I've been farming a lot of Fire Knight to try to get a couple extra pieces here and there. Still a lot of work that needs to be done as far as my gear goes. Of course, we're only two months in, but I think we have at least enough for a 4-key any affinity team. So before I get into the team, first thing I want to say is this team actually, or the tune I should say, that we're going to use is actually from another member in the free-to-play community, but going by the name Hades right now. And he basically, once I was gearing this, so I was building Sepulchre Sentinel here, who is in the team. I was getting her to 6 stars, was working on her masteries, and I just was happening to look through the Discord chat, and I saw that Hades had posted not Hell Hades, this is a completely different Hades, that he had posted a screenshot of doing about 34 or 35 mil against Ultra Nightmare with the exact same team I was building. So I asked if, obviously, he had it tuned, because pretty much for any Ultra Nightmare team to be successful, it needs to be a tuned team. And he said it was. I asked him for the speeds, and he gave them to me. So I built it. We'll give it a shot. It's a pretty sweet tune. Let me show you the calculator. One thing that he wanted to do was give a shout out to Deadwood Jedi and his calculator. If you don't know deadwoodjedi.com and the Clan Boss calculator, you should look into it because it is a huge resource for Clan Boss. DWJ is awesome and a super smart guy, and he owns this, so use it because I use it all the time. So as far as the tune, this is what we're looking for. You can see the champions kind of behind me. We'll get to the speeds, but essentially we are using, you can see we're using Jereg and Miscreated Monster, both 4-turn cooldowns for the ally protection. So 2 ally protection champs, both on a 4-turn cooldown. We're using Sepulchre Sentinel here, who is also a 4-turn cooldown on her 2-turn block damage, or I'm sorry, block debuffs, which is going to make us affinity friendly. And then we've got our 2 DPS in here in Rathalos and Geo. I know you can't see the speeds right now. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about that. We'll go over that when we get to the champs. What I just want to look at right now is the tune in itself. So you can see we get into sync here in turn 3. And then we're going with 3 champions on a 4-to-3 ratio with our 2 DPS going 1-to-1. So Jereg is getting 2 turns here before the first AoE. Same thing, or I'm sorry, it gets fully in sync here in turn 6. However, it's in sync enough by turn 3. But you can see we've got Miscreated Monster taking 2 turns, as well as Jereg taking 2 turns right before the first AoE, and then Sepulchre Sentinel taking 2 turns right before the second AoE, where she is putting up her block damage, or block debuffs. I'm going to keep saying block damage. It is block debuffs. And then everybody is protected through the stun hit. So really, it is Jereg putting up the decrease, or the ally protection first, so he's taking the brunt of it on the first one, and then really Miscreated Monster's kind of taking the brunt on the second one as he's putting up his ally protection, particularly protecting also Jereg, so Jereg is taking less damage while he's protecting everybody else. So this is the tune. It's pretty darn nice. It's exactly what I was looking for. I actually build this style of team a lot for early game free-to-play champion or free-to-play accounts. I've done it on both of my previous ones. However, this is the first time I've actually had 3 champions on a 4-3 ratio. Typically, I'll use Jereg. He is my most used champion as far as for this style of team, because he does also have that decrease attack in there. But it's usually him on a 4-3 while everybody else is on a 1-1. So this is a lot more turns, a lot more precision as far as the speeds that we require in order to get 3 of these champions on a 4-3 ratio. So that is the tune. Let's take a look at the champs themselves. Let's get rid of this. So as far as the champions, again, we're 2 months in. We still got a lot of work to do on gear. However, like I said, this should work well enough for what we needed. So first one, we'll start here with Jareg. You can see we're not even quite up to 60. He's level 58 right now. No ascensions yet. As soon as we start getting some of that, it's definitely going to help up the damage output as well as help protect him if we use some blessings and stuff in order for him to survive a bit longer. You can see we've got him in a regen set and speed. I am forcing a revenge accessory here because he does have that A1 decrease attack. So as often as we can get him to attack to make sure that decreased defense never falls off, the better we stand a chance. And then he's got that 4-turn cooldown for the ally protection along with increased defense. And as far as if you're building your champions, if you have increased defense up the whole time, which we do between Jareg as well as Sepulcher, you really only need about 2,700 defense before the damage mitigation starts to trail off, and then you can start focusing on HP. So that increased defense actually pretty darn helpful. However, I'm not quite there as far as stats go. So he is 241 speed. We got him just shy of 60k HP and only 2,000 defense. So I definitely do want to try to stack some more defense on him to try to get as much mitigation as we can, up to that 2,700. And then we've got 219 accuracy, which is enough to land that decrease attack. As far as masteries go, we have him down to War Master. Pretty much everybody's going to be down to War Master. That's just some extra damage. And then we've got Sniper and Master Hexer in order to get a better chance at putting the decrease attack up, as well as a longer duration for it. Next up, we'll go with Miscreated Monster. He is in just random sets. We've got him in a speed and perception. I actually had to re-gear him out of his shield set, which meant I needed to make some adjustments on my dungeon teams and things like that. But I think I've got all that sorted out. So he is 220 speed, just shy of 80k HP. He's pretty solid. 2.1k defense. So again, we could stack some more defense on him. I do have a little bit of accuracy on him. That is mainly for wave content through dungeons. You really need about 160 or so to be able to land pretty much anything on waves. He doesn't do anything against bosses, or no debuffs against bosses, so don't really need any accuracy there. We've got Cruelty. He's the only epic that we're using that's got damage mitigation. We've got Geo with Miracle Heal, but that's for other purposes. Again, straight down to War Master, as well as the support tree, mainly for Evil Eye, again, for wave content, as well as a little bit of accuracy, again, for wave content. So that's him. Next up, we've got Sepulcher Sentinel. I've got her in a Stalwart set. It was just kind of the gear that I had that I thought would be helpful, obviously with the mitigation from the AoEs. However, I would like her to be in a regen set. I think would be a little bit more helpful. She is 240 speed. She does have enough defense for that mitigation. 42k HP. She is a defense champ, so she actually gets her damage based off of the defense anyway. That being one of the only times you'd want to go over that 2.7k defense, unless, of course, your gear is just better. And then 234 accuracy in order to land her debuffs, which, of course, we are using that block debuffs on a 4-turn cooldown, and that is keeping us affinity friendly again. She also has a nice passive to where, particularly on the stun chance, she's got a 50-50 shot of just blocking the damage altogether, to where whatever that stun target is just going to survive. Then we have, her also decreased attack on her A1. The decreased attack, particularly once Ultra Nightmare gets past turn 20, having that decreased attack is pretty much essential for a non-unkillable team. Otherwise, you're just going to get flattened real quick. Mastery's pretty much the same thing as everybody else. We've got her down to War Master, and then again down to Sniper and Master Hexer for that decreased attack. And then our DPS champions. So I actually just re-geared Rathalos for Fire Knight. Again, I had to make some changes for my wave content, things like that, getting through dungeons. So he is now in our nice and shiny lethal set that we've got from being able to farm Dark Fae this month. So he is in a lethal set with Perception. 5k attack, 183 speed, 168 crit damage. Enough accuracy to try to land that brimstone that he is bringing with him. I would actually prefer him to be in lifesteal, I think, still. So far, he is still surviving. From what I've tested, he's still surviving past the first deaths in the team. It's usually Jarag still is the first one to die, which means it doesn't necessarily need the lifesteal. However, probably make it a little bit more safe once he is like negative affinity or something like that. But we're going with the lethal set right now. He is bringing that brimstone. And then for masteries, you've seen him before, down to War Master. And then for him, because we don't need that extra accuracy from the support tree, we are going down the defense tree for pretty standard masteries there. Last but not least is Geo. He is still in his regen set as normal, with a Blood Shield accessory that is all for other content, but he is just useful in it still. He is sitting at 171 speed, 231 accuracy, so enough to land all his debuffs. He does have that 2.7k defense, and then 42k attack, or I'm sorry, 42k HP, and a little bit of attack, but he's not doing direct damage. Of course, once we get better gear, crit capping everybody would benefit us for more damage and things like that. But for right now, we're basically relying on everybody's just skills in general. Rathalos being really the only one that's doing direct damage. He is in emergency heal. That comes in handy for just keeping him alive in pretty much any other content. And mastery is exactly the same as pretty much everybody else. Down to War Master, and then Evil Eye for wave content, War of Steel, all that sort of good stuff. Alright, so that is all of the champions. As far as Clan Boss today, we are against Magic Affinity, which is actually probably the best affinity for this comp because nobody is weak. And then we have 3 champions that are Force Affinity, so 3 of them are Strong Affinity against it. For the setup here, this is actually my normal team that I am currently running prior to right now. Which is an easy 2-key Nightmare. It's been doing between 22 to 25 million on Nightmare. However, we want that Ultra Nightmare top chest. So 4-key Ultra Nightmare is by far better than 2-key Nightmare and 1-key Brutal because of the rewards you get from that top chest Ultra Nightmare. So we are moving down to this comp right here. As far as presets go, for this I'm actually going to manual the start, and I'll explain a little bit why once we get to it. You could full auto, however you want to position some of the skills a little better, particularly for Geomancer. But as far as the presets go, we've got Jarag just opening with his A2, prioritizing that as well. For Rathalos, we have to turn off his A3. This is because he puts up increased speed on his A3, and we cannot use that because that throws off the tune. Also, we don't need AoE. We really want him to just be doing his A2 as often as possible because that was the one that hits really hard. So we were just prioritizing that. For Geo, we are prioritizing his A3 into A2. However, we are going to, again, manual the start in order to get him to put his A3 up right before the first AoE. So because he's 171 speed, he's not going to get a turn first before the Clan Boss, which means that if we just opened with this, he would be putting it up before the second AoE, which means that Clan Boss is only going to have that HP burn up for that second AoE and the stun hit, rather than both AoEs, which is where we want it. We can also time his A2 here, which is the buff removal, to steal that increased attack that the Clan Boss puts up on him as well. So we'll manual that part. I'll show you what I'm talking about. But general, he's just going to prioritize his A3 and his A2. With Sepulcher, we are delaying the A2 by 1 turn. So we're opening with the A1, and then we will do the A2 after that. Miscreated Monster is just prioritizing his A1. Now this is on a 4-turn cooldown. This is on a 3-turn cooldown. So you do want to make sure you prioritize that A3, just in case for whatever reason, under some circumstances, he may not want to actually do that when he's supposed to, because they will. He'll do the A3 at random times because he's on a 4-3 cooldown or 4-3 tune. You do want to set that priority. So that is the tune here. Again, we are going to start it on auto. There's going to be 2 reasons here. For the most part, we are just following the tune order, but we are just going to avoid 2 things here. So first things first, Jerrig is opening with his A2. Sepulcher, we are delaying that a 3 by 1 turn, or a 2 by 1 turn. Miscreated Monster. Now, normally Miscreated Monster here would A3 as well. However, once we get to the stun hit, he's actually going to become the stun target, and he's going to get stunned on this first time because of the increased defense that everybody has. So, ideally, he is supposed to, or whenever you get stunned, you do not get a cooldown reduction on your skills. So by him getting stunned, he actually pushes all of his skills by 1 turn. So we're going to avoid that. We don't really care. We're not going to get hurt during this first turn. So we are just going to delay using his A3 until the second time he would normally use it, which would be after our stun hit. So we're just going to A1. Boss goes. Rathalos' turn, we are going to A2. Geo, we are going to use that A2 to get rid of our increased attack here. Jerreg's going to A1. Sepulcher here is going to use her A2. That is going to give us the block debuffs. Miscreated Monster again. Well, we were just skipping the A3, so now we can go to his normal skill usage of the A2. And then back to Rathalos for an A1. Jerrig A1. Sepulcher A1. Geo A1 because we want to use that A3 after this stun hit. And then Miscreated Monster. So Miscreated Monster is going to go here. He's going to lose his block debuffs. He's also going to lose that increased defense. That is why he's going to become the stun target. The only thing that's going to not make him the stun target because of that is if he is strong affinity. So whenever we're fighting Spirit, he would not be the stun target here. However, versus Spirit or versus Magic or Void or Force, he will be the stun target and will get stunned. So we'll have to deal with this. In which case, we're just going to A1 here. The boss is going to stun him, and now we are all set. So he is going to wake up what would have been his just a single A1. He's just going to wake up, but everybody else is on the same, so we can just hit auto, and we are good to go. So with this going, I will get out of the way. We will speed this up a little bit and see what happens at the end. So we'll be right back. All right, so there we go. 20.45 million damage. That is well into a 4 key. We would need about 17 and a half, a little over, like 17.6 in order for it to be a 4 key. So we're comfortably in that. We are affinity friendly, so we can use this versus any affinity every day. I'm happy with it. Getting that top chest Ultra Nightmare is going to make a world of difference as far as getting better gear. With now we'll get 6-star legendary, or have the option of getting 6-star legendary, cruel, and immortal gear, as well as books and shards. Huge step up for the free to play account. Again, 63 days in, pretty darn impressive. That's what I got for you today, guys. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you in the next one.